have terminal brain cancer, which means that I have about 3 years left to live. But I say, fuck you to cancer, and I'm going to break the world record in running a marathon. And the way I'm doing that is not by begging you guys for donations left, right and centre, but by getting a big fucking channel that gets sponsorship.
In 2019, Iain undertook medical trials and found out he had terminal brain cancer. But instead of letting it beat and define him, he's been sponsored by people like Brewdog and Gymshark, and he's raising world record amounts of money by running a marathon. Tune in for this inspiring story of how he's gone from nothing to over 40 million social downloads and tens of thousands of funds raised in a matter of only months. If you want to help Iain beat cancer, then tune in to episode 15. So, Iain, thanks very much for coming on, mate. It's a pleasure to have you on board.
Thanks very much for having me on board, Aaron.
That's all right, mate. All good. And thanks for donning the king's crown as well, mate.
Oh, of course. I got to start selling myself from get-go.
No point fantastic,
in
mate.
Hiding behind anything.
That looks brilliant, mate. It looks awesome. Cheers for that. So, listen, I'm going to throw you in at the deep end straight away. So there's some obvious stuff that we want to talk about today. In terms of what you're doing and you know the bits and pieces that we spoke about before we come on, but I want to give you a bit of a challenge, and I'd say the same to everyone that comes on the podcast. So I'm going to give you a minute, and I want you to go from Iain when you started your life to Iain now, and I just want you to pull out the relevant bits that are important in that minute. And because I'm only going to give you a minute, it means it's going to force you to only talk about the stuff that's really, really important rather than stuff maybe that's not as important and memorable. So are you up for the challenge?
Oh, yeah. I'm literally getting out a stopwatch and a timer here. I like the sound of this.
Mate, nobody has done it in a minute so far of all the podcasts we've done. So
well, sure. How could you possibly fit your whole life in there? I was born, and 33 days later in one day, I am now here. Like, you know, it's like a very basic poem.
That's it, mate. All right. Well, look, I'll give you a minute. Fire away, mate. Go for it.
Okay, so I was born in Ireland, and I first went to Mount Temple School, which is the same school as Bono. I moved over to England after being a bit of a Van Wilder and going through a load of different universities, but then went to the NHS, studied nursing, fucking hated that. It was nothing like paramedic studies, which I got in Ireland. Due to the recession, I had to move over because there was no fucking jobs. Then switched to St. Mary's, where I did sports science, loved that, stuck with that, did fitness classes all the time. I worked in gyms and all that sort of jazz. While I was not working, I did medical tests, and one of the medical tests discovered that I had a tumor in my head, which then turned out to be cancerous. And then pretty much the day after I found out, all right, this is serious, I was like, all right, well, let's piggyback off of the fact that I do have something scary and negative, but I'm physically fine. So let's try and break a world record, raising the most amount of money ever for cancer research. And
there we go. Well done, mate. I'll give you a virtual clap of being the first person that's completed it in under a minute, mate. So well done. That's awesome.
Well, I do actually have experience in doing that because I'm mostly popular on TikTok, and TikTok you have to get a lot of information in 7 seconds because that's the average retention rate. So.
Blimey, mate, that is, you have to cram it all in really, really quick.
Yeah, so I did come in like not prepared, but at the same time,
experience.
So yeah, can't give me too much credit for that.
Well, listen, mate, you've spoiled all that now, so everyone's going to think it's like water off a duck's back, but that's all good. It's all good. You still did it anyway, mate. Doesn't matter how experienced you are. So just with that, so you mentioned about sort of growing up in Ireland and stuff. So just take us into like your kind of what was before you found out about. You having the tumor in, I think it was 2019, wasn't it? Yeah,
about that. Yep.
So
around
before,
COVID.
Yeah, around COVID time. So before that, kind of, what was your kind of like early years, Iain, in terms of like upbringing, family, stuff like that? What's your story there?
Oh yeah, bit of like delightfully happy childhood. Every so often, I feel like my mom has watched a documentary or a television show that has something to do with like not Justin Gaethje. I made this mistake the other day because that's the MMA fighter. The guy who's like the killer who dresses up like the clown. Yeah. Gacy. Justin Wingate. Anyway, people will know the killer. Second name Gacy. Anyway, and she'd watch like a documentary on that, and she'd then be asking me a couple of days later, how was your childhood? Was your childhood okay? Because she like watching some sort of a murder mystery thing, and it was always like, yes, he was abused as a child. It led to him killing thousands of people. And so yeah, but every time, like, oh god, like we lived in a cul-de-sac, and there was so many different young families that like we'd all be out playing with each other all the time. You know, that sort of era where video games didn't have an online platform, which I love, but at the same time, they're so entertaining. They can suck you in. You know, we had the SNES, and you'd be there playing Donkey Kong, and I wouldn't be able to beat certain levels. And then my brother would take the remote, and he'd be able to get past them, and I'd be there like, look at that, yay! And all sorts of stuff like that. And wasn't really massively into sport when I was a kid, but I still parents still did their parental duty, and like flung me at so many different clubs and whatever, to be like, all right, which one of these do you like? And at the end I was like, I don't like any of them. And then as I got older, I realized, okay, I like several of them, and like sort of backtracked and took up a bit of music and rugby, and learned karate as a kid, but it was like, in hindsight, it was absolute bullshit karate. And like into jiu-jitsu now, but unfortunately I have a bit of a dodgy knee, and that's not saying that I couldn't do jiu-jitsu, but I do marathons at the moment, so it's like, can't risk that getting an injury, because that would cause more happiness than the risk to how much fun it is. But anyone who's listening to this, it's intimidating, it's scary, but just try it. It's so much fun. It's amazing how like you're trying to kill another person, and then afterwards like the bell goes or whatever, and it's like you feel so attached and like, oh mate, that was really good. You almost had me dead.
Yeah, best mates, yeah.
Yeah, it's a very strange feeling, but I couldn't encourage everyone, especially women, because it's one of the most what's the word? Successful forms of an actual combat, if you really want to look at it purely from a self-defense, because there's a good video there of like a champion female kickboxer, and then she later switched to jiu-jitsu, and her whole point was, oh yeah, this guy was just big, and like I could throw the shots at him, but it just wasn't hitting in. And it was like she went through a really bad spell of depression through it, because it's like, I have all these skills, and they made no difference to a guy just because he had like 20 kilos on my size. And then later she took up jiu-jitsu, and funnily enough, I think she lived in a hard area, and she got into another confrontation, and she absolutely snapped the pieces out of his bones. So she was like, yes, jiu-jitsu works.
It works.
But yeah, so it was
you can't not play rugby though, can you, if you're from Ireland? Surely that's well, you've got to have a stab at it at least, don't you?
It depends where you are from, and even down to, it might be different now, because it's like nearly 20 years since I was in secondary school or high school for the UK viewers. But in Ireland, it's like, if you are in this county and you go to that school, these are the sports that you have, and you have like a choice of two. So you're either playing like football as in soccer, or Gaelic football, hurling, or rugby, and there's nothing really in between. There's very rarely you go to a school and it has a variety of options, or if it does, it's always like kind of a shit team versus like the rugby team, which has got a lot of funding, or a shit rugby team, or the Gaelic football team, which has a lot of attention thrown at it. So it really is just down to your school.
So you got siblings and stuff, Iain?
Yeah. Got one older brother. He is 3 years older than me, and I'm going to go to the Chemical Brothers down in Cork, which is the bottom of Ireland, which I've never been to, and so that's going to be great fun.
Wicked, mate. No, when's that?
Tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then we got to see the Red Hot Chili Peppers on the 29th. My mom got a great present for us this year. So Christmas, we got the same tickets to, I can't remember which one, but our birthdays aren't too far apart from each other. And then so for our birthdays, she was like, oh, I also got you 2 tickets to these 2 gigs. And the 2 gigs are like within a week of each other. So it's like, oh yeah, very...
Matt, it works then, doesn't it? You and your brother have got a good thing going on there.
Yeah, very well sort of timed and everything as well. I'd say it was an easy gift in a way as well, because it's like, oh, well, I just get the two of them for them.
Yeah, it ticks a box for her, and you can go and enjoy a decent day out together, can't you? Which is good. They'll be cracking gigs. That Red Hot Chili Peppers gig will be amazing. Is that over in Ireland as well?
Yeah, it's just in Dublin, so it's the city where we live in.
Nice. Are you pretty central?
No. Well, Dublin is on the. Do you mean in the city itself?
Yeah, I've been Dublin like 3 times, but I can remember about 4 minutes of it because I think I was pissed the majority of the time.
Yeah.
When I've come over, it's been on St Patrick's like day and weekend.
Oh yeah.
So, especially when there's a rugby game on, like an England Ireland rugby game or something. It's such a great place to be, such a great atmosphere and stuff. It was amazing.
Yeah. I always hear that from all my obviously I've got shitloads of English friends because I live in London myself, but like I always have that kind of worry that when they go over, like, oh, I hope you're not gonna get over like with a lot of stupid cunts that are gonna come over and be like, bleeding England coming over and invading Ireland. It's like, mate, come on, that happened a long time ago. Like,
yeah.
That's like saying you're annoyed at the Germans because of World War II, which happened like in a lot of ways closer to the actual 1916 rising. Like, at what point are you going to say, here, come on, welcome?
Yeah, you go, welcome, move on now and stuff. So you were into a bit of sport and stuff as you grew up and that, and then you kept doing a bit of that. I know you're very much into your sort of fitness and stuff at the moment, and you have been for years and stuff. So how did that all come about? You just keep doing that through school and that, and then keep carrying it on?
Yeah, so I kind of like, if you're into fitness, you'd know that like long distance running is pretty much the opposite to strength training. If you are trying to get better at one, then it would be better to do nothing rather than to do the other, because it's all fast twitch muscle, slow twitch muscle, and putting on size as opposed to being as, svelte and light as possible. So I that didn't stop me going like high school for the English audience to know what the fuck I'm talking about. So that was rugby, and so heading to the gym, strength training, and then afterwards I wasn't particularly good at rugby. I just liked doing it because it was the school was loads of fun, and then afterwards there was like several schools in the area that all sort of piled into to the local club, which like kind of sucked the fun out of it for me, because if you're not good enough to make the team, you're kind of it's a lot more competitive. I'd imagine after it was all kind of ironed out and there was a lot of people that quit because they weren't ever going to get a game, I would imagine that it got a new sense of camaraderie, but I wasn't arsed going through all that sort of thing. It just wasn't as fun as it previously was. It would be like, the best people of the 3-4 schools around that would get in. So it was just sort of like loads of my mates were no longer in it. Loads of them still were though. If you're into rugby, Cian Healy, he went to Clontarf, and some more obscure people. But anyway, so that's when I switched, and I still maintained fitness. I was like kind of heading to the gym the odd time just to kind of keep the physical.
Is that what you did at uni and stuff, Ian, or?
Well, at the start, I did computer game development, and then I thought that would be very creative. And it wasn't. It was all high-level maths and high-level programming, and it was just overwhelming, and I didn't really enjoy it. And then also, the thing that the straw that broke the camel's back for me was one of the speeches at the start from one of the lecturers was, the people around you, they're not just going to be your classmates. They are going to be future business contacts. You are going to work with these people. You might start your own businesses with these people. And everyone in the class, bar I think 3 others, so like 4 people in total, myself included, were just like, if an 80s film made the stereotypical nerds, like that was them. So like they were all difficult socially, just had like every kind of stereotypical thing, like half of them I love as well, but it's sort of like the balance changes things entirely, where it's like, you know, oh, we play Dungeons and Dragons and we play lots of video games and we do this, and but then it's like, you know, yes, and we're bad with girls and we don't socialize very well and we never have parties and we never play sport because it's too intimidating. It's like, well, I mean, why can't you play sport and also be, you know, very much into Dungeons and Dragons? Or sorry, not Dungeons. Is it Dungeons? Yeah, D. I can't remember the one where you it's really creative and there's not enough rules and you can take the piss if you want. Whatever that thing is. Loads of my friends play that, but that sort of thing. And I was just kind of like, do I really want to be around like people like this for the rest of my life? Like, I'd imagine it'd be quite irritating being like, here lads, but we go down to the pub and, you know, have a couple of drinks and that sort of thing. No. One of them was saying that they wanted to study during Freshers Week, and it's like, come on, man. We don't have to study. We'll be fine.
Up a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, that sort of. So
that put you off then, did it, in terms of just not going down that route?
It was a combination of that and the fact that I was completely I did not expect how difficult and how much work would be put into like the coding and the programming and all that sort of thing. And the utter like complete lack of, I thought there would be a creative element to, okay, let's sit down. What makes a game good? All right, so there's obviously the lights that are flashing and the sounds, like those noises when Mario jumps on a thing like that. That's a really satisfying sound. Let's look into that. Why is that sound satisfying? Okay, why are these bright lights? All right, that's to do with your actual your vision itself. That's why blondes are tend to be qualified as more attractive than anything else, and it's just because the blonde is closest to yellow, and yellow is the most attractive to the human eye. Like, I thought it'd be stuff like that where it'd be like, okay, so what's the difference between these two games? Why is this one better? And it's like, oh, well, I think it might be down to X, it might be down to Y.
Yeah, more of a creative kind of, like, you know, ability to just kind of create stuff rather than kind of just, you know, pens and paper type stuff.
Yeah, I thought there'd be more of an art element to it, seeing as how, I mean, like, video games are a piece of art. I don't know how anyone could interpret it any other way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I that was the sort of the two things that cracked me, and I left that pretty quick. And then I took up paramedic science because I was thinking about being a firefighter, and for the same sort of reason as why I enjoyed many sports. It's just the sort of the camaraderie element to it.
Yeah. And
very tricky to get into the firefighter brigade anywhere. They almost make it particularly difficult to deter people from applications. But in Ireland, they never said when they're going to be announcing new things. They gave you advice for what we're looking for.
Yeah.
And I remember they actually started. I had moved on, so it wasn't that bad, but it annoyed the hell out of me because they started applications for firefighters. And they included people. It was an essential that you had certain things, and one of them was that you have worked at least 2 years in I can't remember, some sort of a civil job in for that was applied to the state, and so that included people like bin men.
Yeah,
it's like if you worked as a bin man for 2 years, you're more qualified than someone who had studied paramedic science. And that, like, I was living in the UK.
Sense, does it at all, that?
Oh, I was living in the UK at the time, so it didn't really bother me. It was kind of like, oh my God, that's so fucking stupid. Like, you can only laugh at it when you're in that situation. So, but that's the sort of thing where it was just bizarre. But after I got my paramedic, it's slightly less than a paramedic. You guys would call it an ambulance tech. Over here, it was an EMTB, which is emergency medical technician. Basic is what the B stands for there. And once I got that, there were no jobs, so I decided, okay, I may as well retrain, because I'd already have this knowledge. I'm sure whatever I'm going to take on next, if it's in a similar field, which was my choice was nursing, there'd be some crossover, and there was loads. But nursing again made another terrible mistake, and the amount of paperwork that's involved in being a nurse is fucking huge. And I'm dyslexic, so like the writing is not my strong point at all. So I
You'd
went.
think with that sort of job, though, without knowing too much about it, I think that job was a lot more doing than it would be kind of reporting off the back of doing, because surely dealing with people and making people better is more important than necessarily, writing sheets and sheets of paperwork. It might, I get why there needs to be some information, but there surely would be a better way of doing it than, sheets of paper all the time.
No, it's I'd say 50-50. And that's
Really?
if you're good. That's what if you're good at writing.
Wow.
And oh god, like apart from anything else, you'd be writing the same shit 10 times. Like including shit. You'd be like on the first thing, general sort of upkeep. Okay, what was their stool like? But then you'd also have to go like, oh, the stools chart, the Bristol stools chart. What was their shit like, and when did it happen, and all this sort of thing. And it's like, could you not just have one piece of paper where you could have all this and have it in fine detail, but have it in sections? I don't know why they don't have that. I'm sure they do have their own reasons, because the NHS is clearly more intelligent than me. I'm not going to say this is, come on, it's obvious. But with me not knowing why they were doing this sort of thing, it was fucking so frustrating. And I actually got all the way up to year 3. And then when it was time to do my dissertation, I just couldn't do it. I just stared at the laptop screen. I wasn't using Facebook or anything else because it was an Ethernet system, so that you couldn't actually go to anything else, and I just couldn't fucking do it. I was staring at the screen for like 2 hours a day for I think maybe 3 weeks, until I finally was just like, this isn't for you.
No,
you're at the last minute, but like, this isn't for you. Like, where do you, what department do you want to go in? Where every placement that I went on, I didn't enjoy. So bar the one where I went to the dermatology department, and there weren't that many people in it, and I got to see the 2012 games in for the Olympics. That was the only one I enjoyed, because I didn't have to do any work, and I got to watch the Olympics quite a lot, and that was great. And then also because it was a dermatology ward, the people that were actually in the hospital weren't that old. They had like just skin ailments. So a lot of people were in there like watching the games with me. So it was like not like being in a pub, but like there was still
you've got a bit of people. People.
There was like patients there who were like, yes, come on. And like I think we started doing bets in the thing. Official ones, but like, Betfair and that sort of thing. But it was still fun to like have it going with anybody else.
Yeah, absolutely. Get people together. So you're doing that, and then how did you get from there to the kind of the trial in terms of sort of 2019?
Oh yes, okay. So after that, I studied sports science in St. Mary's, which is in Twickenham, or near Twickenham anyway, and brilliant university. The big pitch that they had for me was that it was a small university, which I thought was actually a negative thing. But they said, here, trust us, guys. It may seem as though a bad thing, but it really isn't. And they were very accurate with that, because to get to it from one class to another, I actually had to start adding more time, because in the university, it's not huge, but the amount of time it would take you to just walk through the halls would be twice as long, because you'd be saying hello to so many people that you knew, because it was a small community. But like at the same time, you end up with more friends. It's an odd thing to think of, but it's so fucking fun. Amazing. Love that university so much. And afterwards, stuck in with working in gyms and working in fitness classes. And I would usually be doing things like freelancing classes more often than anything else. Because working in a gym can be very, very taxing in terms of time, because you'd be like working late and then working very, very, very early. But then also weekends are the busiest times. So it kind of takes away from the social elements of that sort of thing. So I focus more on doing fitness classes. And then COVID happened, so the jobs stopped. And that was because I need to backtrack a little bit there. So because I was doing classes and I was doing a freelance, I often had quite a lot of time where I wasn't working very much. And I can't remember why I ended up started doing it, but I did a medical trial for, I think it was for like HIV, a HIV vaccine. And they were like, this is impossible for you to get HIV from this. There is no risk of you getting HIV. And in every trial that we've previously done with this, there's never been anyone who's been sick. And the amount of money that they gave me was huge. It ended up being, I also got over my fear of needles, which was dead handy.
Yeah.
It was like near my house. It would be like I remember I calculated it. It was like a 15-minute walk to the hospital. The hospital appointment was just giving blood. So that would take about 15 minutes, maybe a little bit more. And then 15 minutes back. So under an hour, I would get paid £100 per week to just go in and just come back out. And then after that, I started doing a lot more medical trials, pretty much whenever I could do them.
Yeah.
And again, like it's not like they don't tell you what's happening. They almost badger you with information about everything that they're doing. So
I suppose the more they give you and stuff, that if something does happen, they can always turn around and say, well, we've given you all of this, you've signed that, we gave you this booklet or whatever. Thank you very much for supporting the podcast over the last sort of few months or so. We're now getting thousands and thousands of downloads and views every single episode, but that is not all. Big news to come. We're looking for a sponsor for the podcast, and the reason for that is we're looking to take our thousands of downloaders and viewers to tens and hundreds of thousands of downloads and viewers. So if you're interested in sponsoring the podcast, if you're a business owner that wants to get some extra exposure to thousands of people per week, please get in touch. Let's talk at thesilent-entrepreneur.co.uk.
Yeah, and even in that situation, so like a lot of people have said, like, well, have you ever thought that that's what has caused your brain cancer? And it's like, yeah, I suppose like that's not something that is not a possibility. But then again, me playing, like having a phone to my ear could have caused that. The doctor said they have no idea what causes brain cancers. It's like just something that they don't know the cause of. There doesn't seem to be any correlation with, like, smoking, lung cancer, that's connected, drinking too much, liver cancer, all that sort of thing. They haven't found out what causes brain cancer, but so I did those trials, and even if it might have, like, let's just go with the maximum amount of negativity towards that, it also hugely protected my life, because as a 30-year-old at the time, the chances of me going in to get a random scan, a random MRI scan on my brain, like for no reason.
You wouldn't have done it, yeah.
You wouldn't have done it. So it was through these medical trials that they did this scan, and they did detect that I had a brain tumor. And then from then it was on to, second tests and so on. And it's led me to this point now.
So take me back to that day, and that you were told, the news, Ian, I'm really sorry, but you've got a brain tumor. What actually happened, sort of thing?
When they said that it was when they first found it, or when they said, all right, this is cancerous, you need to go into surgery?
Maybe both.
All right. Well, the first one, I was upset because I was like, shit, does this mean that I can't do that medical trial? And the doctor was like, yes, you're in a very difficult health position. You cannot do the trial. I was like, fuck, that was going to be 4,500 quid. That was going to be like, Christmas and summer holidays sorted like that. And so that was the first thing, because they said it was benign. So I looked up benign tumors, and loads of people have them. The Hulk has what's his name again?
The actor, yeah.
Yeah,
I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Hulk actor's name. I said it's Mark Ruffalo. Yeah, Mark Ruffalo has a brain tumor, and it's still in there. It's the fucking Hulk. And then, it's crazy, because I always make all these little whenever I'm making videos, I'm always trying to make it these little sort of not so much jokes, but they are still kind of funny, where it's like, I am Tony Stark. Tony Stark had a load of shrapnel blasted into his body. I had a brain tumor blasted into my body. Thanos, clicked his fingers and killed half the population, and cancer affects statistically 1 in 2 people, which crazy, is fucking crazy high numbers.
But I didn't even know that until last year. And I thought, I was in, like, when I found out that, I was in like where was I? I think I was with family, like having a barbecue or something the other year, and there's like 5, 6 of us, and like really, when you think about that, you think, shit, you know, half of us statistically are going to get cancer at some point in our lifetime. Like that's absolutely
mental,
ridiculous,
isn't
isn't
it?
it? Yeah, really, it's scary when you think about those sort of numbers. Like it brings things closer to home, doesn't it? When you start thinking about, you know, 50% of people that are in your family, of everybody you meet, of every single person at work, of every person you walk down the road with. Yeah, crazy.
I always just throw it at like, so I use the Thanos thing of how, like, you know, all right, so half of them die, and then like, what happens to everybody else in Endgame? Do they look like they're having fun? Like, no, they're not. So I'm always telling people, like on the channels and that sort of thing, where it's like, don't think of this as you're donating to me, or don't think of following my channel as like, you know, you want to help me out. Think of it as fucking health insurance, and this is the best health insurance policy that you're ever going to come across, because you don't have to pay any money. You just got to follow, you know, the king of chemo on this channel, and it still doesn't hit everybody. Like if someone pitched it to me like that, I'd be like, yeah, okay, fair enough. I tap a button where I don't pay money and money goes to cancer research. It's like, yeah, all right, I'll do that. But it's like it's bonkers. Or even if you want to be completely selfish, like you still got a 1 in 2 chance. Well, it's 1 in 2 if you're female and 1 in 3 if you're male. So woohoo, patriarchy. And but like I think pretty much everybody just sort of goes with, like, rather than saying, oh, it's 1 in whatever the mathematics is of 1/3 plus 1 half minus 2 or whatever it is. But yeah, so that's always what I'd sort of make the connection to. And then also the fact that Chadwick Boseman, fucking the Black Panther, died of cancer. It's like, what fucking hope do I have? That guy's in the, like, famous for being in unbelievably good nick, and then, like, you know, has all that money available from doing, like, you know, blockbuster successful film. And it's like, shit, how the fuck am I going to survive this if that man, like, you know, what do I have that he didn't have in abundance? Oh, well.
So it sounds like from that first time that you found out, it was kind of like just hadn't really gone in, and you were worried about the cash and the trial and stuff. What about the second time? I'm guessing maybe did that hit home a little bit more, or?
No, so it was like I had 6 months to mull it over, and like I looked up benign brain tumors and the rest of it. And
so what's this mull over whether you were going to have an operation to?
Well, that was the thing. The second time that I was going to have the scan, it was not going to be for any treatment. It was literally just going to be where I'm at now, which is we're going to scan your brain again just to keep an eye on it. We're not going to add pills. We're not going to add surgery. We're going to just keep an eye on it. And then if we see growth, that might change things. You might need to go on medication. But for the moment, don't worry about it. We're just going to keep an eye on it. So, like, you know, that's not something particularly to be worried about if you're hearing that from the doctors. So I took their word for it. Yeah. And then the second time, though, they saw it. It was like, okay, we were wrong. This whatever the way they were able to tell that it's not growing. I'm sure there's something like, you know, roots of a tree. It's like if it has roots, it means it's growing. If it doesn't have roots, it means it's not. I'm just making that up, but whatever way they were able to tell that it doesn't look like it's growing. The second time, it had grown by 33%, and so they're like, all right, this is growing. This is growing aggressively, so we need to take action pretty much straight away. And then that was scary, but that was scary in the moment. But the doctor that I had was I don't know if it was just his way or if he's just a master at sort of getting the vibe and getting the energy off another human being, because straight away he just knew exactly how to calm me down, which was just to be like, all right, so here are your options. Here's the things. Like, just here are the things that we're going to do. Here are the things that you can do. Here are the options. Here's the advice. So that, to me, that was like, you know, exactly
rather than focusing on the problem and laboring on that and delivering that news in a long way, it was hit you with it and then give you the options, so you've got something to look at. So almost like that sort of do you ever hear that Jim Jeffries bit where he's going on about how if a kid hurts himself
you have like a window where if you just go over and like play with them, they almost forget
about
their
it. Yeah.
yeah, and it's spot on. Like I used to work with kids, and it is really true. If you hurt them and you run over, we used to have this trick that worked so often. They hurt themselves, and you go over and you go, "Oh, where did you hit? Where did you go here?" And they'd be like, "My elbow." And we go, "Oh, okay, will we take it off? Will we bite it off?" And we go like that, and they go, "No," and they just forget.
And forget it's done then, isn't it?
Yeah, and then you just go, "Okay, come on, get back into the line, and we'll do that. We'll play the ball thing again." It was so effective. It was great. And so I think he must have just sort of seen me as the same way, where it's like, take a breath, take that in, and now straight on to options straight away. Options, forward thinking, don't sort of dwell on the situation. And so that was the options. The options seemed completely obvious to me, because it was like, all right, you can not have brain surgery, and we can just put you on chemotherapy, or we can have brain surgery, and we'll then be able to tell what kind of a brain tumor it is, and we might be able to do more accurate medical treatments. And then within the brain surgery, you can either do it awake, or you can go under an anesthesia. And the difference being is that when you are awake, we're able to get a prong and like poke at different parts of the brain that is not actually damaging to the brain, but it shows, they test you. So like if ever you've seen footage of someone having brain surgery and they're playing the piano or a violin or something, that's not just like a visual gimmick. That's actually something that they will do to make
certain bits react.
Yeah, exactly. Because your brain works kind of like big rooms with furniture in it. And so the different compartments control different parts. And it also it matters which hand is your dominant hand. So because I'm right-handed, the left temporal lobe affects speech. So they had me basically playing Articulate. So they were just like, okay, which one of these is the cat? Which one is the dog? And I'd have to be like, that's the cat, that's the dog, that's a tree, that's a bush, and so on and so forth. And then when I would stall for a second, and that's all it would be just be me stalling, they'd know, okay, this tissue is speech tissue, whereas this tissue is like empty space of the room, just to go back to that metaphor. And so they can remove as much of the empty space of the room. They don't want to damage the furniture, the working parts. And then what happens to your brain, the younger you are, the more effective it is at doing this. But the younger you are, the better. Almost similarly to us as people, the easier it is to move furniture around, the younger we are. So you can then move that furniture into a different room, and it still is functional. And so that's pretty much exactly what happened to me, where because I was so young, they said, oh yeah, your speech was going to be damaged for about a year, and it only took 6 days until it was back to full function. Like no issues with thinking of words or struggling to think of basic sort of descriptions of things. Like I was unable to how would I say, I was playing a video game the first time I discovered the speech, not impediments, but the speech issues. And I was literally playing like Red Alert, which is like chess, except you have to build your army fast. Nurse comes in and asks, how are you feeling? Yep, feeling fine. Any headaches? No. Any of this? No. Any of this? No. Okay, we're going to do a neurological test with you now. I was like, yeah, it's fine. Okay, so first question, where are you? And I was like, fuck. I couldn't think where I was. Wow. I knew where I was, but then to actually verbally say where I was, I broke it down to I'm in sounds like a hostel, but it's for sick people. And then
so you know what you want to say, but you just couldn't deliver it.
Yes. It's exactly just like, when you who's that? Well, I mean, we literally did it a couple of seconds also, where it's like, who's the celebrity who plays the Hulk? And it's Mark Ruffalo. It's like, we probably did know that somewhere in our mind, but like to get it on second is you're not able to do that. But now just imagine that with basic words. And same thing happened. I was playing a game of Warzone, Call of Duty Warzone, with one of my friends after I got out the hospital. And I'm here, shooting left, shooting right, sliding in under doors and checking corners and doing all this, like, high active brain activity stuff. But then when it was like, shit, Johnny, I need, oh, fuck, what is it? The thing, it starts with A. And he's like, ammo? No, the other thing that starts with A. Armor plates? Yeah, I need armor plates. And so I was like, strange, but like, it is so, your brain is so compartmentalized that losing one part of it almost has zero difference to losing another. It's not like if you have heart damage or lung damage or damage to your stomach, that, like, the whole system is broken down. It's fascinating.
So based on that, then, when did you find out that you're in a position where your situation was terminal?
That was after the 6 days. We went in to do a checkup with the doctors and with some of the more specialized nursing staff, and that's when they were like, all right, yeah, we got the results back, we got your prognosis, which is like where they're sort of more certain of tests. And I said, yeah, so it is stage 3, which is not what we want. It's not the worst, but it's not good. And they said, you are going to go into not going to, the smartest option is for you to go into radiotherapy and chemotherapy. And then obviously I was there asking, all right, well, like, what are we talking about with life expectancy? And they were like, here, look, please don't ask that question. We never like answering that question. That's completely in, like, that's in the films, that's in Breaking Bad, where he says, like, you have 1 year to live. It's like, we're basing this off of stats, and stats are vastly, for many thousands of people, they are kind of accurate, but for the individual, we never want to say it, because you are an individual, and like, this is going to be completely inaccurate. You might be dead tomorrow. You might not ever die from this at all. It's basically, it's the same as life in general, where it's like, you don't know how long you're going to live for. But like, then of course it's like, yeah. But how long? Come on, give me the answer. Give me. And then they were like, okay, well, on paper it would be about 5 to 6 years. And then they were like, but we need to point out that where the stats that you fall into are people that come into a GP service or to talk to the doctors and get an MRI without symptoms, which is, for my age, incredibly rare. So most of the stats for people who go into surgery with no symptoms are normally more than twice my age. Right. Because when you're in your 60s, that's when you start going, okay, I should probably just get like a yearly checkup, of everything. Check the heart, check the lungs, check everything. Look out for tumors, look out for diseases. And so they were like, and particularly for the brain, they then started saying the brain is an organ that the younger it is far more susceptible to recovery. So it's like, you are in such a unique place that we do not have data that is relevant to your situation. So it's like, on the one hand, some people could get extremely frustrated with that, and I'm lucky that I kind of was sort of like, okay, so basically you're telling me that I am a normal person and I don't know when I'm going to die. And they're just kind of like, yes. And I was like, all right, well, all right, I'll keep going on living life like a normal person to a degree, and obviously try to correct things that you can Google about brain cancer, like, taking little certain pills that they say might be good, well, certain foods that they say might be good for cancer, and avoiding the ones that are cancer associations, which no surprises, it's all the fun stuff. It's all just like junk food and sugar, particularly sugar. The more I read up on that, that's definitely the biggest food for cancer. And then of course the one that means the most to me, booze. Thankfully they are. Thankfully that is not good for cancer, but sugar is worse. Junk food is like the second worst, and then alcohol is the third. So at least it's not the worst. Is all I can say. Because God, it's so much fun.
So what happened then from when you found out all of this information to when you started to actually think, okay, what can I do to put a positive spin? Because everything that I've seen on you on social media, with your TikTok videos and different things that are up, with everything that you're looking to do at the moment with your fundraising for your marathons and different things and your sponsorships, it's all incredibly putting an amazingly positive spin on what a normal person would seem to be an incredibly negative situation that for you to be in, obviously in the position that you're in. So, and that was part of the reason for us to get in contact was just to kind of understand that, because a lot of our audience are younger people, and one person's problem might be something that's not that much of an issue for somebody else. Everyone's an individual, everyone's unique, and everyone's got their own issues, and one person's easy might be some person's hard. And the one thing I do know about our audience, wherever they are in the world and whatever the age they are, is a lot of people do interact and talk about their challenges and their problems, whether that be people dying, whether that be illnesses, whether that be starting a new company, or whether that be being sick of their current company, or whether it be personal issues, mental health issues, whatever it is. When did your mind switch from getting that news to, I need to do something positive about this situation?
One day.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Next day I was sorting it out. And to be honest, I probably would, like, in a way it was almost a pre-thought, because I wasn't going in there thinking, yeah, this is all going to be fine. This is like, all right, what happens if it's bad? What are you going to do? And so straight away afterwards, I kind of formulated the idea of what I was going to do. And I probably would have like started making the announcement and I literally started making the video, my first YouTube video, which with experience is far too long and far too babbling, and definitely needs to be a lot better. But it did its job.
You got to start somewhere, haven't you?
You got to start somewhere, and I'd highly advise that to absolutely everybody who's listening to this. Is YouTube, TikTok, social media. We all use them, but like for the creative spark, I don't, even though they are saturated markets for people who put videos out, I still don't, I think everybody should be doing it the same way as, like, if you can draw, you should draw, because it's just creating things in general, like, going out, if people don't really do that much DIY, but every so often they need to like make some IKEA furniture that everyone finishes up, and there's a natural sort of satisfaction to it.
Yeah.
And I really think that, like, having not just like uploading videos of you on holiday and being like, oh, Mexico's great, but like, actually sort of just like, for no reason other than it's fun to do, just like make something that is creative, because there is beauty in creating things. But I want to mention one thing, just from what you were saying there about how so many people are dealing with problems. I'd highly recommend you read Malcolm Gladwell's book, or listen to his audiobook, David and Goliath, because the entire thing is all about how disadvantages might not actually be advantages. And it just goes through all these different cases where it actually scientifically proves. If you don't know who Malcolm Gladwell is, you might recognize Freakonomics, because he was part of the author for that. And one of the things that he's like, he points out is, it's something like 25% of, and now straight away, this does not mean that something bad happening to you is a good thing. It just means that some people, those disadvantages can actually create strengths and abilities, and a sort of a mental toughness that leads to better things in the long term. You can see it when people go off to war and like they come back and they look not necessarily worn out older, but they just look more like, oh, you're an adult. You are like, you left when you were 25 and you're back and you're 27, but like you look like you are now
you've matured in all ways, shape or form. I think with every bad experience, there's things that you learn, develop, experience, and that you can't put a price on that. And I think from me personally, I think some of my biggest turning points and my biggest kind of eureka moments, biggest learning points in my life are when the shittest things have happened to me. And it's been how have I dealt with it, how have I computed it, and how am I, but more importantly, what am I going to do to use that situation to bounce back even stronger?
Yeah, exactly. How am I going to be able to overcome this? How can I surmount this this thing that's in front of me that, you know, seems insurmountable? Like, how am I going to be able to deal with that? And then you get to the other end and it's like, oh, okay, so that wasn't the end. Marathons are much the same. Everyone thinks marathons are incredibly difficult. I ran one, not a full one, but I ran 29 kilometers yesterday. And the only reason that I didn't finish was because I was meant to be at yeah, I can say this, sponsor. I was meant to be at. There's more than one, and there's one that I have been asked not to mention.
I'll tell you what, mate. Before you go on to that, tell people about what you're trying to do now to raise the money you're looking to, and then because that will probably lead into how you're doing it, because it's quite different and unique that your approach at the moment.
Yeah, so I kind of knew that if I was going to be asking for donations through my social media channel, that it would crawl. It would not be entertaining. So I was like, okay, well, what I'm going to do is basically a shit version of Live Aid, and I'm going to be a shit version of Freddie Mercury, and I'm going to try and attract people through entertainment, and through entertainment then get my get donations. But at the same time, I'm not going to be saying like, you know, give me money, give me money, give me money, give me money. I was going to be doing things like playing video games, and it was like, all right, guys, I'm going to be on a treadmill because I'm training for a marathon, and I'm going to play Call of Duty. And every time I get a headshot while I'm on the treadmill, I just want you to donate like £1, like a tiny amount of money. So the money is so small that whoever is watching likely wants to donate, because it's like we both win. It's like, and then like every time I call it headshots for head cancer. And then so it was like every time get a headshot, like everybody would be celebrating, like, yes, we get to donate, like make it fun, and put the fun in fundraising. And so there was that. And then I also there's a few ways that I wanted to make it.
Tattoo raffles as well, didn't you?
I can.
From being a Celtic fan, didn't you get a Rangers tattoo on there?
Yeah. Someone came out. He was the guy who got that, who wanted that tattoo where it's like Glasgow Rangers, we are the people. He was actually the nicest guy ever. So like a lot of people would have assumed that it was like, you know, oh, you'll get a tattoo, will you? Well then, fuck Celtic, get the Rangers tattoo. And he wasn't. He was all like, you know, here, I want this to be like, you know, a bit of fun or whatever and all this sort of thing. And I completely read where he was going with. But yeah, let me show you the tattoos. So I haven't done one recently, but I am definitely going to pick this back up again.
Yeah.
So those are all of them there.
So you'd basically do a raffle, and then the winner of the raffle gets to pick a tattoo. Yeah. Who
chose that one? That's a Michael Collins reference. The big man. And then where's Good Luck, Iain. Yeah. I think that was my little cousin. Yeah, I think my little cousin did that one. Their parents donated my uncle and my auntie, step auntie, auntie.
So this was where you did a raffle, and the winner of the raffle gets to pick what goes on your leg.
Yeah. So what it was like I said, okay, so imagine the raffle like a $5. Everybody who pays a $5 gets a raffle ticket thrown in. So you can, if you donate more, you have larger chance of winning. But if you donate anything, you still have a chance. Yeah. Okay. And so it's like, you know, incentivizes people to donate more, but doesn't say like, hey, it's just top donation person wins. And I definitely will be going back to the tattoos, because like it's my boxer line. It, you know, anyone who sees underneath my boxer line, if they're going to be having an issue with the fact that I have tattoos there, they don't deserve to see what's under my boxer line anyway.
That's it, mate. They're privileged people anyway. Who cares?
Yeah, that sort of thing. And so I think I need to like sort of obviously sort it out better, but the new one is going to be not so much writing, but actual pictures. And I think what I want to do is every single time double it in price and in size. So make it so it's people want to get in quick and do it, it will probably end up being companies at the end that will want to do the donations. So like the first one is you got to pay $1,000 and then you get to tattoo something on anything you want. Obviously, if they want to have like a swastika or something, I'd tell them to fuck off. But like if they wanted to somehow be like, oh no, but I want the Hindu symbol of peace. I want like these ends to be like this, and that symbolize the Hindu symbol of peace. I'd be like, okay, fine. That's I can see what you're getting at here. It's a dark joke. I'll take that. But then hopefully the next people that come in happen to be like, oh yeah, we represent the Jewish temple in like North London, and we want to get a Star of David, but we want it to be twice as big as the Hindu symbol of peace. And it's I see what you're doing there. Yeah, let's do that. And so that was what I was kind of hoping for, because if there was something a while back called, like, I can't remember what it was called, but it was like a pixel thing where everybody could buy a pixel for $1, and apparently there's 1 million squared pixels on a screen. And what it ended up as so some people just bought one just to be able to choose a pixel for fun, and it ended up that actually like Coca-Cola and well-known products started buying pixels because it was advertising, and it was actually very cheap advertising, because loads of people were interested in this pixel thing that was being bought. And this guy's making $1 million on such a simple concept, and how it got attractive and that like that. So loads of people wanted to pile on and get in on it while it's still hot, because once it hits 1 million, that's it, it's gone. And so we can look up that pixel thing right now, and that advertisement still stands. Obviously, people aren't looking at it as much anymore. And I want the tattoos to be the same thing, where it's like, get those tattoos now, get them early. And
again, it's just engaging the audience but the end goal, rather than there being, the end goal in terms of why you're looking to do it and what you're looking to raise. Like you said before, it's kind of that a free insurance, well, not free, but an insurance policy, trying to donating the money to find the cure. It's kind of taking the whole, in my opinion anyway, it's replacing the whole traditional give me money for something that's actually taking that person that gives the money on a journey, or the company that gives the money on a journey, to make them feel emotionally and emotively part of something that is going to be fantastic, and goes and does what it needs to do through your channels and your following. Because like you said before,
exactly,
you've got people donating, which is great. You're focusing more on that sponsorship side, aren't you?
Yes. So those are the things that are sort of to reward people donating. But my primary goal is to get a channel really big, and we're at the magical moment now where we are actually getting sponsors. I've had some sponsors like that were unofficially announced. Like we were talking how we're going to do it for a while now, but now this is at the point where I get to announce them. And I'd assume most people that follow, the King of Chemo on the social channels are able to see what my idea is. But when I pitch the idea, if you're in the slightest bit skeptical, not if you're stupid, just if you're in the slightest bit skeptical, which I am on the internet, I would think this is bullshit. This guy is trying to get popular on social media. If he has cancer or he doesn't have cancer, I don't care. He's just trying to piggyback off that effect, which I am. I mean, it's 100% what I'm trying to do. But the results of it being is that a big channel gets sponsorship, because giving to a charity for a company is tax deductible. So they naturally do quite a lot of charitable donations anyway. However, if they're donating to me, they then get the advertisement. So from a marketing perspective, in living in a capitalist society, any company that sees what I'm doing and sees 1.2 million followers on TikTok and nearly 50,000 on Instagram, and I'm trying to encourage them to get onto the YouTube and sort of break through, because I feel like once you break through it, the momentum carries on for almost forever. Any company that looks at that and thinks, okay, the idea of this is just money in the bank, but also, does he fit to our does he fit to our brand? Is there a way that we can get to fit him? Because I mean, like,
Yeah.
he makes a lot of dark jokes. I don't think it's going to suit that we like run a sweet company for children. And he also constantly is talking about how sugar is the fucking devil. So like, maybe we're not going to be able to work with him. Oh God, what a shame. But then if it's something like, you know, someone who sells like sports gear, it's like, all right, well, what's he doing? He's running around all the time. He's, you know, saying, you know, 2 fingers up to cancer. I'm gonna, you know, do these CrossFit games on, you know, 23rd of June. If you live in Ireland and you want to see that, 23rd of June or July, and then like, you know, oh, he's doing a half marathon there, just here, wear our clothes, we'll donate every time you wear our clothes on camera, you know, something like that. It just seems
makes sense, doesn't it? If they're going to be donating the money anyway as part of their business plan and proposition, why don't they get something for it as well? But actually, that's building credible donations into the pot for you on a larger scale. It's win-win all around, really, isn't it? Because the end game is it's going to the right place.
Thank you very much for supporting the podcast over the last sort of few months or so. We're now getting thousands and thousands of downloads and views every single episode, but that is not all. Big news to come. We're looking for a sponsor for the podcast, and the reason for that is we're looking to take our thousands of downloaders and viewers to tens and hundreds of thousands of downloads and viewers. So if you're interested in sponsoring the podcast, if you're a business owner that wants to get some extra exposure to thousands of people per week, please get in touch. Let's talk at thesilententrepreneur.co.uk.
Exactly. And then another thing that I'm sort of seeing into the future, we're not there yet, is so there's 4 charities through, if you go onto curecancerdietrying.com and you want to donate yourself, there are 4 charities that you can do, because I was doing this over social media, and as you're proving right now, I had no idea where my the fan base or whatever you'd call it was going to be most popular. So at the moment, I think the actual followers are more UK. I'd need to look back at that at TikTok. And the donations are higher for Ireland, because that makes sense if you think about it, because the first jolt was all my Irish friends and associates, but then also people would have a bit more national pride and that sort of thing. However, the 2 companies are both British, so when they start donating, the first 2 sponsors are British. Sorry, I didn't mention this. So the 4 different charities. What I wanted to happen was they have percentages closer to the marker for the world record, and so Ireland is currently the only one that has reached the 1% out of 100% funding raised, and the UK is in close second. But if we get to a point where it's like, you know, hey, Ireland has we're at the 20% mark. The UK were at 19 last night, but they did, like, you know, loads of UK people donated last night because I did a UK event or something like that, and now they're at 21%. And then I can start going like, hey, Ireland, sort your shit out. The England are leading, and like, you know, I'm Irish. Like, what? Where are you at? And then the same sort of thing. Maybe I get on like you know, Joe Rogan's podcast, and that ends up being, you know, super popular in the US market. Although that's probably a bad example. He's very global kind of. I know
what you mean, though. It's kind of like you're using that channel and that and your presence and your story and the journey and everything for maximum reward. But rather than you being somebody who's taking all the money for yourself as like a YouTuber or whatever. You know, the money's going to a place which is effectively everybody's going to benefit. So why wouldn't people help do that, especially if they're just following and it's not actually costing them anything? Are you able, so with these brands that you're talking to, then have you got sponsorship confirmed? Are you able to let the cat out of the bag on who you're working with?
So I'm sure if you follow any of my channels, you'll be able to find out who the second one is very soon, because I am doing a running event with this particular sponsor on the 5th of July, where it's literally me running around in central London. And for everybody who comes to the runaround, the company that I'm not that asked me not to say at the moment will donate for everybody who shows up. So it's almost like the same sort of thing like the Race for Life, where it's cancer research, except you don't actually pay to go on this run. The company pays cancer research for you showing up.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. So that's a really good strategy. I really like that one. And then, so obviously very soon I'll be able to announce that one. But the one that I can say where it was, the release was for Brewdog. And the reason that Brewdog were getting behind me was because I pitched them, because I just really liked their brand in the first place, but also their non-alcoholic beer is terrific. It's like, it's not as nice as normal beer, I'll be straight, which is there, but to have the option, I think not even just to have the option as a cancer patient, because I don't really let the consumption of alcohol bother me too much. I'm not actually a heavy drinker. I just really, enjoy it when it's there. But to have the option of a non-alcoholic beer for like, I come in from a run, and to have a beer after a run or after a heavy exercise, oh God, it's fucking heaven. And a lot of the time I will have a beer, but sometimes middle of the day, you don't want to have a beer in the middle of the day. You got shit to do, so it acts as the straight cover. Or another one would be, you don't want to be hungover, or you want to keep drinking, but you don't actually want to get more drunk. That's the more common scenario for me. You can go to the bar and you can be like, rather than going pint and then pint thing of water, pint thing of water, pint thing of water, which is the advice for getting rid of the hangover. You can just order an alcohol-free beer that doesn't taste like shit. All of them seem to taste like the water the milk after cereal. It's like, I'm not saying that doesn't taste nice, but when you're going to take a beer and it tastes like sugary water or sugary milk, it's not what you want.
No, I'll vouch for the Brewdog stuff. Is really good. I'm a big fan of their both all the options really, from the alcoholic and the non-alcoholic. I've tried most of them. When you get the packs of Brewdog, don't you, with the mixtures?
Yeah. That's part of the fun as well, is that, like, because they keep coming out with new weird flavors, and some of them are quite nice. Like Hazy Jane is relatively new. It's been out for a while, but it's relatively new, and that's the one that I buy the most now. It used to be the Punk IPA, and I come out with stuff that's absolute fucking stinkers, but at the same time, it's still fun to be like, let's try the milkshake. Or what was it? The chocolate, not the white chocolate raspberry IPA, and it's like, I don't want that, but I want to fucking try it.
I'll try it once. Yeah.
It does taste like a milkshake, which I wouldn't. It's definitely worth buying once. It is just sort of, it's almost like from what's that, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? Yeah. Where it's like they have a sweet that is a 3-course dinner, and then the girl turns into a big balloon or something. Yeah. It's like, oh, it's the blackberry pie. We just can't get the blackberry pie thing right. It's like that.
They do come across that. I listen to the Peter Crouch podcast, and they're brewing one for their podcast, a special one for them, and they seem to be really like that. I love Brewdog. I think they're a brilliant company. Like, they're so bang on trend with stuff that's going on, and then again, living by what they believe in and what their nature. Them obviously supporting and being the first sponsor for you is that's amazing. It's proving the concept that what you're trying to do in terms of building your following and your channels, for larger companies to go and burden the financial weight and everybody else just to get involved it's a fan. I really hope it works. It's proven that it works as well. I mean, if you look at your TikTok and stuff, and I think the first story I ever saw of yours on TikTok, one of my mates sent me it, and he's like, and I think you mentioned about the first 7 seconds of TikTok and stuff. I think the first 10 seconds, I think it's had like 6.5 million views on TikTok or something, right?
Oh,
you're running down the street. You're running down the street at night with I think you got a crown or a headband or something on. You're like, this is me.
No, literally just like head tied back. That's
tied back, is it? Yeah.
Completely different when it gets tied back like that.
Yeah. And do you know what? Even from speaking to you now, and just those first 10 seconds of that video, you can completely get your point across, because it's like you're speaking openly positive. You're being completely point blank straight down the line with everyone. You're like, this is me. I've got terminal cancer, but I'm not, I'm not letting it get hold of me. I don't look like I'm ill, but this is the situation, and you're running. And I just think even the first 10 seconds of that just sum up you as a person, really, even from speaking to you for a short while today and obviously previously and stuff. Just your attitude to turning what's happening into something genuinely where people want to get involved. I think the way you're going about it is brilliant, perfect, brilliant, and I hold my hat off to you, because I think it and the nature of how you do it.
You should have started the podcast with your own hat. There's where you see.
If
I was taking my hat off, I could.
I know, mate. I should have put a hat on as well. It will take away from my shit haircut. But yeah, and the fact that you're using your kind of like comedic side as well, with the fitness, with the just general fuck what's happening, this is what I'm doing type attitude around what's going on in your life. I think it's brilliant, and I think people will engage with it. They have clearly engaged with it. You've got millions of followers across your platforms, and that's only ever going to increase. And brands are now getting involved. And I really hope from you coming on today and talking about what you're trying to do in the way that you've done that, in a real honest, open, normal guy type fashion, but with a real thirst and hunger for making this work. I think I really hope some of the brands that listen to the podcast and that will see this on social media and see you in the future, I hope they get involved. And I hope, I hope we can spur things on, because, yeah, I think what you're doing is brilliant, mate. Really inspirational.
One thing that you just said there is something that I'm a huge believer in. As you said, you're just a normal guy, which I could not agree with more. And some of the sort of the reason that the things that I've thought about would be like, we always look back at the history of the world wars and we think like, oh my God, like D-Day, the doors opening up and you've got to run through a beach with a machine gun. How did they do it? And we will always sort of, I think it's very weird if you're going to be like, they're just normal guys. We'd do that if World War came around. And if you said that, someone else would be like, well, you shut up. We'd cower. We'd shit our pants. We wouldn't. And as it might sound arrogant, but I think we would. I think it's just naturally in the human mind to be able to do things that seem incredibly difficult, but then when it actually comes down to the moment, I think most human beings actually do rise to the occasion, and that we don't know about that until that situation comes around. So in a lot of cases, I really did like that cancer came into my life, because that's what I sort of felt, where it's like, all right, this is Saving Private Ryan, and I'm, both Tom Hanks and Private Ryan, and I get to sort of, this is my moment. I get to, how am I going to handle this? And I get to, you play video games all the time and you get to be the, the protagonist, and you get to do all that sort of stuff. And you kind of in your own head think like, what would I do in that situation? This is my moment. This is where I get to find out, what I'm made of. But I think most people would actually, if they thought about it in that regards, I mean, how many examples are there of people who get cancer and they just go, right, let's do some weird shit with this, and like let's take advantage of it in some ways, because
I think it shows real strength, mate. Really does. And like I do agree with you. I think everybody has strength inside, but it's when it comes out, and if you're not given an opportunity of real, I won't say turmoil, but real kind of challenge, I suppose the right word is. Then
discomfort even.
Yeah, how can you ever show what you're truly capable of from in here and in here if you're not given that opportunity to do so? Because I think humans are quite resilient, strong characters deep down, but still, it doesn't take anything away from what you're doing, mate. I think the fact that you're, there's no arrogance there. There's no. It's a me show, I think you're incredibly humble, and even just that point there that you were raising off your own back in terms of that, everybody has got strength, find the strength sort of thing. And this is just you finding your strength, and it's your calling. Yeah.
Well, in a way, I didn't find the strength. It was cast upon me. It's like finding, did you ever see that Dr. Dre, The Defiant Ones?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dr. Dre has a line in it that spoke so true to me at the time, and it was a little bit frustrating, because it was like, fuck, I don't have that, and now I do. So it's brilliant. I think I'll watch that program over again. It's such a good one. Yeah. And he talks about how from the cradle he knew it had to be music. no other option. It was just straight away, nothing to get in the way. Every single day, music. And that's all he cared about. And there's like beauty in that clarity. Yeah. And, you know, I did what I wanted to do. I enjoyed my fitness classes, and it's definitely, you know, paying for now. And I'm showing that I do always thoroughly enjoy what I did. But I also still felt that I was kind of twiddling my feet a bit and not really doing something of particular meaning. Yeah. And now I have that. And that's, you know, an amazing feeling to have, that it's like my purpose. Like I have life goals that matter, and it's sort of committed to that. It's great.
So, and the good thing is it's also involving everybody else, which is incredibly inspiring, and it's an emotional connection, which is the best connection you can ever get to get people to do anything, is having that emotional connection to the end goal. And you've absolutely got that, because I think everybody knows how important it is to try and at some point find a cure for cancer. There's no more important thing out there at the moment. So I mean, how can people help you, Iain, get on this journey?
The easiest way is, as I was saying, the easiest way is to follow the channels. So I'm on all the social media things, and the name is the same, The King of Chemo. Prioritizing at the moment YouTube, because YouTube is not taking off. The other ones are doing very well at the moment. There's been that video that you watch yourself that's taken off on Instagram and TikTok, but I'm pretty sure that there is a thing on YouTube where so TikTok has a very good editing system, makes it very easy. You can just take the videos, edit it on your phone, add music, add words and that sort of thing. Instagram has a good one as well. YouTube, we're late to the game for that. So what most people do now is they make them on TikTok, and then TikTok gives you a copy of that edit. However, it has a watermark on it. And I think there is, they don't say there is, but there definitely is a shadow ban for YouTube videos for when people have done that. And I have made the mistake of doing that. It's often just down to laziness, pure laziness. I could have just remade the video exclusively for YouTube. But the video that you mentioned, so that has like 6.5 million views. Actually, I could look up now to get an exact thing.
I think it's 6.5 on TikTok, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's a huge amount. It's also quite the numbers. Like they say, everything on TikTok is multiplied by 10. So whatever it is on Instagram, it's lower than that. But the Instagram is still successful. And then on YouTube, it is like not even 100 views. So it is clearly YouTube is in pain. Oh, it's suffering. So let's try and crack through that one, and hitting the little bell icons. That actually, it sounds so weird, but that's actually the thing that I could, or we could benefit from the most at the moment. And then following on all the other ones, same sort of thing. That's massively effective. And then after all that, comments, likes, again, boosting it up, and you haven't paid anything yet. And if you want to go the whole way, you can go on to Cure Cancer or dietron.com and donate to which of the 4 charities you like the most for whatever reason. Maybe you think America is the best one because they have, I'm not saying they do, but you think that they have the best healthcare system. I would disagree fucking massively about that. But whatever you think is your favorite kind of thing, or maybe Cure Cancer Australia is more directly to the thing, cancer research. They're too broad. They're not doing it well. Irish cancer. Sure, I'll do it for him because he's Irish. I'm French, for whatever reason.
Yeah. Okay. And do you know what the beauty is of that for anyone who's listening and anyone who watches this video is that none of that costs you anything whatsoever. It costs you a few seconds, a little bit of time, and you could be doing your part to help Iain, help everybody else. And that's where the true power lies with this. It's, a like and a share, clicking the bell. And if you want to go and donate some money, there's various ways that you can do that. And whenever we put the podcast out on YouTube and on all of our social media platforms, we'll make sure to tag Iain in. We'll make sure that we'll tag links into all of these places as well. And we'll try and make it as easy as a couple of clicks for you to support what Iain's trying to achieve here. And trying to build that following, to trying to get that sponsorship, and trying to break those records with regards to the donations for for curing cancer, and that's what it's all about.
And they also get to be a part of the world record themselves, because even though the world record says, someone who has run a marathon and the most raised by an individual, but it's like, it's not actually possible for you to raise money for a charity by yourself, because then it's just like, who's the biggest donator, because it's, I don't know, it doesn't make but I suppose like they have to make words to fit that. So like, it's the only thing that they could do. By the way, I've just while you were talking there, I looked up the difference, and it is laughably different. Okay, so for YouTube, actually, no, I'll start with TikTok first. So TikTok, it is at 6.4 million views on TikTok, and on YouTube it is 126.
Wow. Well, listen, anybody that's listening and watching this, get on YouTube. Let's support. Get on both of them. Get on both of them. It takes 2 seconds. Why wouldn't you? Yeah,
I mean, even at that, each video that I've made has links to connect with the other ones, because it's like, why have one piece of web thrown out there when you can throw out a net? Far more likely to get subscriptions from multiple channels, because some channels, some things will not use TikTok. Some things will only use Instagram.
Makes sense, doesn't it? You've got to be everywhere these days, haven't you, just to cater for how people want to go and consume
exactly
what you're looking to do. So, Iain, mate, I really appreciate it. Is there anything more you want to say? I know everyone knows where to find you in terms of searching the King of Chemo on social media. I'm sure there's going to be a load of people listening to this that are going to like, follow, hopefully donate, subscribe, click the bell, do all those great things. And we will be getting this out to people as soon as possible, so we can try and make a maximum difference on your exposure to try and help as well and try and do our part. Is there anything else you want to say before we sign up?
Yeah, if anyone wants to actually get involved with like making videos and like maybe doing events with me, if you email fightingcancerwithcancer@gmail.com, please don't write sort of, hey, you're doing great and all that sort of thing, because as lovely as that is, please keep them to comments on social media, because otherwise it's basically spam and makes it more difficult for me to get in touch with people. But as an example, someone the other day, it's not a cancer-related charity, but it's a scoliosis, but he wants to carry an oxygen tank because his dad died recently. From Dublin City to Maynooth, which is about a marathon away, and carry an oxygen tank. Wow. And he was like, oh yeah, if you could just like share this story, because you've got a decent sized Instagram, that'd help. But straight away I was like, well, that sounds like fun, and I am in the area, so I'll fucking do that with you. So if you if you're doing stuff yourself, anything that's kind of weird, like how long are you going to stay in an ice bath for, how long are you going to try and climb up a mountain, you're doing something physical and it's tricky and something like that, let me know, because I like doing that sort of stuff anyway. And if you then also want to think of stuff that you could contribute to the channel itself that I'm doing, I've got a thing on TikTok where it's like I could use people that have these sort of skills. Please though, you got to be living in either Dublin or London, because as lovely as the idea is that you'd be a video editor and you live in Canada, it's just going to be too hard for like us to be like sending stuff over to each other and being like, oh, can you sort that out? But
keep it relatively local then.
Yeah, I think for me, it kind of has to be someone who's like that we can sit in and with the room and be like me. First of all, that I can hand over all the uncut videos in like a hard drive and be like, okay, there's the hard drive, because otherwise over Google Drive it can take ages.
I know that feeling, definitely. Well, look, thanks very much, Iain. Really
thanks for having me on.
And we'll catch up with you soon, and good luck with everything. And we'll definitely we'll do our best to get this turned around as quickly as we can, and go from there, mate.